Salutations everyone, Shadow Taurus here, and today we'll be embarking on another thrilling exploration of the world of video game character power scaling. But who we bring in the spotlight today? Well, none other than the iconic and beloved Sonic the Hedgehog. Sonic's storied gaming career is brimming with remarkable feats across a myriad of titles, making him an ideal subject for a deep dive into power scaling. But before we scale Sonic, I do need to ask everyone watching this video to like the video, comment your thoughts down below, and subscribe to the channel. And don't forget to hit the notification bell to be alerted when I upload next. Finally, go check me out on Patreon to support the channel and get great rewards. As we set off on our adventure in Sonic power scaling, it's essential to acknowledge the intricacies in establishing a coherent Sonic game timeline. Now, Sega's never given us a definitive timeline of events, however, we can make educated guesses on when each game takes place. While games such as Sonic 1, Sonic CD, Sonic 2, and Sonic 3 and Knuckles are undoubtedly canon to the timeline, the path becomes a little more convoluted when including the modern entries such as Sonic Adventure 1, Adventure 2, and 06. To navigate this complex web, we'll construct a timeline based on the chronological order of the game's releases, with a specific focus on the modern games for our scaling analysis. But before we dive into the intricate task of power scaling Sonic, it's prudent to address the prevailing debate amongst fans, and that is the status of Sonic 06 canonicity. Now, there are some arguments that advocate that Sonic 06 is separate from the main timeline. However, there's compelling evidence, such as Silver's appearance in subsequent Sonic games such as Sonic Forces, strongly suggests that Sonic 06 is indeed canon to the broader narrative. So with that out of the way, let's kick off this video by unraveling the layers of Sonic the Hedgehog's power scaling. Now, while in normal videos I would start with a character's physical power first, since this is the Blue Blur Sonic himself, we'll be starting with his speed today. So let's talk about his speed by going over some of his best feats. Now, talk about finite speed scaling for Sonic would be kind of irrelevant, as he has consistency at much higher tiers. So we'll be starting with some lower end scaling for Sonic and then working our way up. Now, in Sonic Generation, Sonic was able to move in the white space. It was stated by Dr. Eggman that this white space possessed no time, meaning that for Sonic to move in this space, he would need to possess inaccessible speed. Man, Eggman's faster than your favorite verse, huh? But anyways, this is shockingly consistent that in Sonic Forces, Sonic was able to move around in the null realm, which was stated to be a realm where nothing exists. Since we know Dr. Eggman can judge whether or not time exists in a realm, it should be logical to assume that time would not exist in the null realm either. Now that's definitely fast, but we haven't even got to his fastest scalings. Now, Sonic does have some immeasurable speed feats, but when we talk about that, let's firstly discuss one of the biggest things people bring up. That being his fight with Solaris. Now, a lot of people attempt to argue that because Solaris exists in the past, present, and future, that Sonic should have immeasurable speed because he was able to fight and combat with Solaris. However, this is very much all types of incorrect. The first and major biggest problem is that just because Solaris exists in the past, present, and future does not inherently mean Solaris has immeasurable speed. It's like saying a 4D creature has to have 4D AP. All this would really mean is that you need to destroy him in the past, present, and the future for him to stay dead. Secondly, we see very blatantly in Sonic 06 that via the use of 2 Chaos Emeralds, a person can travel forwards and backwards in time. And since Super Sonic is literally made up of all the power of the Chaos Emeralds, it should be logical that he can use his time travel ability at will, which would qualify as an ability, meaning it would not grant Sonic immeasurable speed. But then how do we grant Sonic immeasurable speed? In Sonic Generations, it was stated that Sonic's sheer speed was able to destroy time. As such, Sonic eventually teamed up with himself, and together the boys in blue used the power of their speed to reverse the damage. This would mean that Sonic's sheer speed was able to restore time out of the hole, which would put him way above linear time, which would qualify him for immeasurable speed. So now we've found Sonic's speed, let's dive into his strength. Now let's dive into the realm of Sonic's strength, and before we explore the intricacies, we need to make a crucial clarification. It is commonly acknowledged that the 4 strongest Sonic villains in the Sonic games are the Time Eater, Solaris, Infinite, and the End. However, it's time to be the first person to challenge this perception. I will be the first one to state this, but Solaris is nowhere near Sonic's strongest villain in the games. Here's why. Sonic's growth between games is something we need to really consider. A prime example is Sonic's evolution from Sonic Adventure 1, where he needs Super Sonic to overcome Perfect Chaos, to Sonic Generations, where he dispatches Perfect Chaos quicker than Super Sonic did while in his base form. By this logic, base Sonic from Sonic Generations should be stronger than Super Sonic from Sonic Adventure 1. Suggesting that he just keeps growing stronger and stronger and stronger with every game. This brings up a controversial inclusion in Solaris in the top list of villains in the Sonic games, as Sonic, Shadow, and Silver collectively confronted Solaris in Sonic 06, each engaging in individual 1v1s across the past, present, and the future. While some argue that this collective effort diminishes the individual scaling, the counter argument is simply that each character should scale to Solaris as they were each able to do damage. And then in Sonic Unleashed, the narrative takes a twist as Gaia's strength is so great that it causes Super Sonic to collapse post-fight. This is a stronger Super Sonic, by the way, so this should easily dispel the myth that Solaris is anywhere close to the strongest of Sonic's villains. But now that we've got out of the way, let's actually get into Sonic scaling. Now, a lot of our scaling is going to be coming from Solaris as our reference point, as Solaris boasts a massive amount of amazing feats. The first and foremost being the entire destruction of Sonic the Hedgehog's multiverse in the games. Tails, a highly knowledgeable character, asserts in TaleTubes number 4, which yes, is a canon source, that the multiverse exists with a potential infinite number of Sonic. Considering Solaris' intention was to annihilate the entire multiverse, including the imaginary world, a dimension that dreams coincide with reality and form universes within an infinite fourth dimensional space, we can logically assume Solaris should be multiversal levels. Now, there are some interpretations that can push this to like multiversal plus, but it's critical to tread carefully on some of these estimates. Hell, there's even an argument for Solaris being even higher, as he's called multiple times a super-dimensional being, and since we know that there should be at least a fourth dimension in the Sonic multiverse, this will constitute a high multiversal plus, or fifth dimension. This may actually be consistent, as the Time Eater is able to eat entire timelines and destroy the space-time continuum encompassing all of reality, which should include the multiverse, so having multiple Sonic villains being this strong is just more consistent scale. This should just simply upscale every villain after Solaris, as it takes future forms of Super Sonic to take him down, especially Infinite in the end. Let's actually quickly talk about the end. Now, Sonic and Super Sonic do not scale to the end, as Super Sonic couldn't even damage. Sonic had to get a whole new form, which is called Super Sonic 2, which is what it stated apparently in the game files. This form is kind of irrelevant, as Sonic loses this form permanently by the end of Frontiers, but the end was able to see all of Sonic's previous foes and called them weak. This should include Gaia, Solaris, Infinite, the Time Eater. So logically, the end should scale above them, as Super Sonic by Frontier should logically scale above Infinite, as Base Sonic enforces by the end of the game, alongside Classic Sonic and the player character, were able to beat the Death Egg empowered by the Phantom Ruby. This Death Egg, Eggman said, even surpassed Infinite. So yeah, it's very clear Sonic is much stronger than people give him credit for, and potentially might even surpass his Archie counterpart. But again, that was just a video. I hope you guys did enjoy my attempt at scaling Sonic from the video games. If you guys want me to scale Sonic from the IEW comic series, then make it known by liking the video, commenting down below, and subscribing to the channel. Until we meet again, good luck on your power scaling endeavors.